So this, there you go. All right, this is February 7th meeting, special meeting of the board and the Nominations and Elections Committee. And there's Mary. Progress toward the election. So what have I done? I got a hold of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and both the pastor and the guy that does the management of the rental of the activity center. He hasn't told me if it's going to cost anything or not. There is a bit of a complication. They're going to have something that they do. They have a kind of a Boy Scouts thing they call Pathfinders. And they have a meeting there on the 22nd at 6:30. Now we're supposed to have our election between for 2 hours between 5 and 7. Is that traditional?
No, actually the Zoom meet, I mean, the meeting would be between, I was suggesting maybe do the drop in, drop off earlier than the regular meeting, but the regular meetings are generally 7 to 8:30. So I was suggesting maybe do drop in, drop off from 5 to, we could even do 5 to 6:30, provided that, let's say, UPCO and Civic Life could do the counting between 6:30 and 7. And then the Zoom ballot would be between 7 and 8:30 with counting between 8:30 and 9. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's not a lot of counting done on the Zoom side. It's done, right? So we don't need time. Well, we'd have to put the two numbers together if they're first.
Right.
If we get the numbers from them in time.
Because we do need to, and according to our bylaws, and that's unequivocal, I mean, that we can't wiggle around, even though they're poorly written, we have to announce who won
Okay.
at when the meeting is adjourned. So by 9 o'clock on that Tuesday, we need to announce, we might need to recount, and then, so you, originally, I think you said you were going to give it like everybody would know by March 25th. We actually need to announce a tentative vote that evening.
SE Uplift is saying that if they take the ballots away, they're not going to count them for a couple of days.
They're supposed to be, actually, in the past, and if Mary were here, she'd confirm, they count at the meeting. EPCO and Civic Life, the two reps, start counting the ballots then. I don't know how it would go for
I haven't talked to Josie yet about this.
Yeah. And just be a little aware, I like Jose. Jose's very nice and everything, but Jose only was hired by EPCO in December 2020. No, December 2019, I should say. And then in March 2020, we went into COVID lockdown, and she was temporarily reassigned to the food security program. So in some ways you can talk to Jose, but in some ways probably I know more than Jose as to how it should run,
Yeah, but she's the representative of EPCO, so.
Yeah, but unless you get her to put everything in writing, she's going to waffle on it later. That's typical. That's nothing really personal to Jose, but generally speaking, they will waffle later. So unless you get it in writing, and they generally at EPCO or Civic Life don't like to put things in writing, when the time comes, they'll say, well, I really didn't say that. And then we'll all be thrown under the bus. So already we're getting some complaints from people. At least I'm getting them. I don't know if you're getting them, insofar as secret meetings and all this stuff for elections planning, and no outreach other than on the LNA Facebook page and LNA website.
Anyway, okay. So I have to get these flyers into your people's hands, you all's hands, right?
Right.
So what I suggest is that either tomorrow night or the night after, you meet me down at what used to call the Zoila House. Now it's the Zed House. Is that true?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
What time do you want people to meet you there?
Well, what time? What time can y'all get there? I'm willing to sit there for an hour or two and drink beer. I mean, I'll sacrifice myself in that effort, So let's say maybe.
So tomorrow I have another meeting of another board I'm on for Little League. So it'd have to be like Wednesday for me, but I'm free all day, so I'm not really after. I can meet earlier before the board. Meeting there.
Tomorrow, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I can meet you for lunch at the Zoidal House.
well, we can't have lunch because it's, well, yeah, actually the kids will be in school. Yeah, I can stop there and eat. We can
Well, I can have lunch. You can watch me or
eat.
no.
But yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday works well for me. I'm after 6 though.
Okay, all right.
Or I can meet a little earlier. I mean, actually, what time are you meeting? No, tomorrow I'm not available during the day, but yeah, actually, I mean, if you meet earlier on Wednesday or something, then I'm somewhat flexible. Tuesday, I can't meet till probably after 6.
We can meet at lunch on Wednesday, noon, sometime around 12 on Wednesday.
Yeah, that I could do.
At what are you saying now, Topher?
Well, if she can meet on Wednesday earlier, we could do it, Wednesday, 12, 1 o'clock, well, 1 o'clock. I have to pick up my granddaughter at 12, but 1 o'clock, we can meet up and you can eat lunch and we can have lunch and
Okay, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Is that
for,
okay with you, Mary?
That'll be great.
Okay. Thomas, are you there?
I should be able to do that. I'm
Okay.
going to be on mute a lot because I haven't had a chance to eat dinner.
Oh, you want
yeah,
to?
I'll get that way too. If you see me on mute because of my kids, because my wife's still dealing with her mom, which is not great right now.
Okay. Okay. Now, there's one other thing we have to talk about the elections. It's a kind of little strange knot we got to either tie or untie. And that's the idea that the bylaws specify that half of the positions on the board are up for election each year and then half the other year. So they're 2-year terms, but they're staggered, right? Which is a great idea, except when the whole board quits and we're trying to start this up again, right? So how do we get back into that, half up for election each year mode? The only thing I can think of is either to give the folks that are going to win this election an extra 6 months on to what they would normally have. So the folks that would be, to get them staggered again, the folks that would be up for regular term, 2-term elections in September would be up for that. Plus, they would serve the intervening months between March and September, right? Other folks.
My assessment is that is something that the newly elected board could handle. I don't think we need to worry about that as the elections interim board.
You just want to elect everybody this time and then kick the problem down the road. Is that it? That's not a negative.
Basically, yes. Yes, since we are not elected, since we are the interim group. Our job is only to get people elected and to handle anything that cannot wait. I do not think it's appropriate for us to take any actions that are outside of that mandate. Let the elected board, because we are not elected, so I don't think it's appropriate for us to make any types of decisions like that.
I would just recommend that we, though, just remind people when they're running that certain seats are in even years and odd years. But actually, Thomas has a good idea about just letting the newly elected board get approval by membership as whether they want to add that extra 6 months. I would agree. Basically, I think most people are going to say add an extra 6 months, unless when we do bylaws revision, which we absolutely have to do because we're 3 years behind bylaws revision, we change it to spring elections anyway, then that would make sort of the problem moot because we'd be doing March, April elections anyway, and we'd be back onto this even odd year. But I do think we do need to remind people that, hey, certain terms are odd and certain terms are, so we don't wind up with people like they did last year too, assuming that this is I only work a year term and I'm going to be leaving and I've done my commitment, that there's a little bit of guilt associated with dropping out before 2-year term.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Just make it a point. Yeah. Make it a point for people to understand while they're getting elected.
Okay. So maybe I should just explain the problem. I'll write a problem statement and pass it by you guys. And
yeah.
say that we're gonna, but what are, who, how do we express their terms and how do we say? We're just gonna elect everybody for a 2-year term?
No, what you'd say is that who's ever been, that we're considering this. I mean, they really left us in between a rock and a hard place. This was supposed to have been an odd numbered year because everybody was supposed to have been elected September 2021. Now it's become an even numbered year because it's 2022. So whomever is elected in 2022, whatever, I don't have them off the top of my head, their term will end in September 2024. Whoever's was supposed to be an odd year, they're going to be ending in 2025. So basically, we're proposing right now, tentatively, but like Thomas said, we're not going to go and make a decision about that. But essentially, we're not doing September elections again. That I think we all agreed would be a disaster, because why bother doing September elections if we're doing elections in March? It's only a 5-month period.
Yeah.
So the way it would work is we're assuming it's an even election, and anybody elected March 22nd will be ending their term in September 2024, essentially. And then unless we change bylaws, and then it might even be as early as March 2024.
And then the odd ones would be 2023.
Yeah, there would be 2023,
Okay.
September 2023.
And
that
then
would-
we'll propose that, and then the new board can change it if they want.
Right, and bylaws revision, like I said, are going to be imperative. And before it was being held hostage, a lot of members of LNA, not just board members, felt that actually spring would be better, because what happens with the September elections is you're doing campaigning during the summer when nobody is interested in being engaged in their community, because we're all having fun and we're burnt out from having done activism during the rest of the year. So for a lot of people, they thought that actually spring elections are a better time than doing these September elections when everybody's in the summer vacation doldrums. So that may change as well. It's not going to be an option. I mean, I talked to Jose myself. It's not going to be an option for bylaws revision to be dropped, because everybody in Portland was supposed to have, if they were going to be a recognized neighborhood association, were supposed to have made their bylaws to standardize to ONI standards, the ONI bylaws template, by 2017. So we're 5 years overdue for that. And we're probably one of the only neighborhood associations that is overdue for it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is just stretch people's terms either one way or the other to get it back in the mold, make that proposal to do that.
Right,
Go ahead and run the election for all the positions,
right.
and
then clarify that we are not having,
by what actually happens.
and then clarify that we're not having elections, make that very clear in September, that we're
Yeah.
not going to be doing September elections, even though our bylaws, this is replacing what would be September.
Now, that's a problem. That can be a problem because it says in the bylaws, September, there's election.
It says or other date approved by membership. So this is one of the things, actually, it does say or other date approved by membership. So
Okay.
we can sort of wiggle around that. But yeah, in future, we should try, to sort of whatever the date is, we should go and stick to it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll write that language up and send it to you guys so you can look at it about that part. What was that?
Real quick before it logs me out. Right now we have in our account $1,428.98.
Okay.
Looks
Do they
like the
have
only,
a way in there to extract transactions for like?
well, what I put on a document, which I'm about to do now, every month I put an e-statement on there and it has the transactions. You
Okay.
can click on it and it shows the transactions for the whole month and
Okay,
what the current balance is. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to put January's on, but I'm doing that right now.
okay.
So were the $500 just PG&E bills that needed to be paid?
So PG&E took out for $38?
Because in September, because again, the former board was doing some creative accounting there. In September, Miss Jean Fang went and said that we had $1,602 in the account. Then we had $1,900, and people are wondering, where did we get that extra $500? Because we were in hiatus, and now we're down to 1428.98. So
So you said in September?
in September, Jean Fang, who is not the treasurer, so I don't know how she got access to that. She said we had $1,602 and odd cents. Then I had understood that we had $1,900.
Well, that's what she showed on the screen when we did the transition.
Yeah.
So,
Because what we're concerned about is that there's this mysterious PayPal, and we're hoping it's not being used and shared with other groups. Because
well,
where did,
the transactions would reflect that, so,
yeah, but again, right away, I can tell you, where did $500 go? Yeah, we had 1,600, then we got 300 extra, and now we're down to 1428. Where did what came out of that 1,900 to bring us to 1428? And I know it's
but
not a
we can
treasure.
look that up. We can figure it out.
So, looking at the August statement,
Mhm.
it said we had 1,200 and we got a check for $415.95, which brought us up to 1,602.
Right, that's what,
And then if I look at the November one, it says we have 1,570.87 because $31 went out for PG&E. And if I look at October's, it says we have 1,538 because $32.62 went to PGE.
okay, so maybe the 1,900 was a misstatement, because I know we
Maybe-
have an email that said we had 1,900.
It could have
I
been,
thought
it could have been 1,600.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, that could have been. I'll own up to that if you make me. Oh, but look at, I'll take a look too, but I trust Topher what he's saying, so. I haven't been able to get a hold of this guy, Ben Coogan, who was apparently the last accountant we had. So I don't know if I should try to muddle through the 990, the form 990 that we need to fill out. Does anybody have any ideas about that?
why was Ben Coogan? Ben Coogan was not our treasurer. Our treasurer was Gerald Atkins.
But Ben was some sort of accountant, right?
He is an accountant, but he was also the registered rep and agent and the secretary of East Portland Collective. He was just there as an LNA member, I believe, to help with the finance committee. But he is not a treasurer by any means, and he should not be the treasurer because, again, he had a conflict of interest loyalty.
No, I'm not talking about being the treasurer. I'm just trying to find some accounting help to help me fill out the form.
Oh, I thought that you were, well, the treasurer, you should be able to contact either Brian Moore or more likely Gerald Atkins, who was a former treasurer. Don't ask Ben Coogan. Ben Coogan is nobody. He's just an LNA member who's
Okay,
associated
I
with
don't
the
know
church.
those things.
Yeah.
Okay, looking for a pen. So you said Brian Atkins?
Brian, it's Gerald Atkins.
Gerald Atkins.
Yeah, he was the treasurer, but we don't understand because he stopped attending meetings around February, March. And Jean Fang, for some reason, was doing all the treasurer's reports. So we don't know if he resigned and nobody said anything or what, because he and his wife sort of dropped off the face of the earth around March of last year. So I don't know, who was doing really the treasurer's reports. It was always Jean Fang doing it.
Okay. All right, well, and what was the other name besides Gerald Atkins?
Brian Moore was also treasurer from 2019. And he's a Metro staffer, so he might be able to help. He was a treasurer before Gerald,
Okay,
but he was actually an official treasurer. So, I would go and request help from people who are actually the treasurers.
so Topher, do you want to try this or you want me to do it?
I'm dealing with my mother-in-law right now, so probably be better for you.
Okay, I'll muddle through it.
Sorry. I'll help you out. I mean, I can talk to,
Have you ever done one of those forms?
Which ones?
990? I think it's like the official, like, non 501c whatever.
Oh, yeah, we did that for we do that for Little League.
Yeah. So if, you know, I just want to, before I get into it, I would like to know what I'm supposed to tell them. And then if they need money, how do I pay them, right? That sort of thing. But that's okay. So
Yeah, let me look at
I need
my,
to do now for myself.
what I'll do is look at my stuff for that I do for Little League, and I will send you an email.
Okay, okay. Because I'm willing to muck it up, you know. I've been run over by buses before, you know. All right, so we've got that going a little bit. I talked about the election problem with the interlacing of terms. We've got the flyers. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, right?
It's
gonna be-
Wednesday.
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 Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Let me write that down. 1 p.m. I'm gonna meet you all at the Zoigel House, Zed House, to give you flyers. All right. What else we got? Thomas, did we miss something yet?
I think that's it. That's all I'm aware of that we have for our agenda right now. That's
I had some questions though, actually.
that we need to figure out how to get back logged into our site. We get that taken care of soon. Go ahead. What's that?
And
What
then
question, Joanne?
Yeah, I wanted to know if we don't get at least 7 candidates to declare by February 28th, I don't know how many we have right now. I guess it's Topher, Don, Ken, Joanna Morrill. Do we know what Joanna was running for? Because I wasn't clear if she was running for chairperson as well or what she's running for.
Well, we're gonna the way we're gonna do it, right, is the ranked choice.
Right.
Most votes, the most, and this is the way I'm gonna. I would say we do ranked choice. So the person who gets the most votes gets to decide whether he's chair, right? And I think somebody, you know, and then down the line, right? So if we only get 4, then we got enough to do all the offices, right? I think we got that many. I think we got 6 at least. I haven't looked recently. That's but I'm willing to do that next. Is once now I got the flyers. I'm working through the details with if 5 p.m. through 6:30 p.m. election night for the vote drop off is good for everybody, then that's the time period I'll give the church and that'll fit right before their Pathfinder meeting, right?
Right.
So right as we're finishing, right when we're done, all these little Boy Scouts are going to come in probably, right?
Because
So-
what we need to ask the DOJ is, DOJ says according to ORS 65, we only need 3 board members, a chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer. But our bylaws unequivocally say we need between 7 and 13. So I guess my question is, if we don't have 7, we need to ask Frank, can we still muddle through with, so long as we have our required 3 plus an extra 2 or whatever, or are we somewhat in violation? I know the membership is probably going to complain if we don't have at least 7. So that's
what's Frank's last name?
is Nahar, and I can send you separately. I've got his direct line too. It's Najar, but it's pronounced Nahar.
Nahar, yeah.
But it's spelled Najar.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, he's very nice. He's very patient, but he's also made it very clear to me and to others that DOJ is ready to dissolve LNA. They don't care whether membership wants it. They don't care whether the former board wants it or the current board wants it. We haven't been behaving, thanks to poor leadership in the past, the way a nonprofit should.
Yeah.
So they really don't want to support us anymore in any way, and they're about ready to dissolve. So, you know, we sort of have to watch how we're communicating. And I'm not talking about this board, but, you know, with them generally, because they're just ready to say, hey, you all are not behaving the way a nonprofit should. We've got a thick file of complaints over the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
don't want to deal with y'all anymore.
I've
The
been
big
holding
issue-
off talking to him, to the DOJ,
Yeah, exactly.
but.
Yeah, and so I mean, I haven't spoken to the DOJ since November, just so that I could get his help to light a fire under the board's rear end, the former boards, to go and appoint an interim.
Right, yeah.
So I haven't been pestering Frank either. I have no desire. I think, yeah, the chairperson, the interim
So there's-
chair should
You know, if
speak.
it really goes to, if we truly only have partial set of candidates, we might be forced to have another election in September to elect the others. But then again,
that's true,
now we're
yeah.
winging,
Yeah,
you know,
my thinking is that, again, this is something that the elected board, as long as we meet the legal requirements, the elected board would be the ones to figure out how to deal with that, is my assessment. Again, like I said, since we are not elected, we really have to stick to the bare legal minimum.
Yes.
Because otherwise we're acting outside of our mandate, and frankly, that's kind of unethical.
Okay,
If we were not elected, we need to be very focused on just doing our best to get a legally elected board in place.
okay, all right. All right, thank you, Thomas. All right, so I'll write up the proposal for how that's gonna work. Basically, we're gonna elect everybody, and then the next board is, we're gonna make our proposal, and the next board will get it set in stone or not, or do whatever they're gonna do. Okay. So I'll write that up in the next couple of days and send that around for you all to look at. Let me write that.
All right.
The next election update.
And then we would need to have an announcement, but I mean, we're really good on time. But by February 20th, we would need to announce somewhere the exact, and probably we'll do it during this week, the exact time and place that we're having the drop in, drop off and everything else. Because a month before elections, we have to make sure everybody knows exactly where
Right.
we're
We have to
meeting and everything
announce
else, which
it.
we already know.
I did kind of announce it already, at least the day, and that there would be an election. So
Right.
it might have already, we've already made that milestone.
Right, but we just need a concrete place, because right now I think it just says
Yeah.
we're, you know.
So I'm like
potentially-
99%
Right,
got the church, so. And they seem very cooperative. They get back to me really quickly and all, and they want to work with us, so that's fine.
yeah, they're very nice people at the church,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
All right. Okay, I'll do that and get it approved. I'll write the next communication and send it to you guys for approval.
And then we'd probably need another set of flyers, no longer recruiting candidates. But basically, you know, use the same beautiful flyer that you did and just take out the candidate interest stuff on it, you know, with the deadlines to apply. Just saying, specifying again where the drop-in, drop-off elections are being held and how to zoom in on the night for the online
Mhm,
elections.
okay.
And then do you want me, or did you want to, if I send you the email addresses, would you want to contact Andrew Wilkins or Corey Ellia at Village Portland to update about elections? And also David Ashton at the East Portland News, because those would be good places.
Oh, you can work the bottom of the list. I mean, that's the outreach, it's on the outreach list, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they would probably want to interview somebody. So I'm saying, if I give them your, would you be okay with me saying, hey, we'll contact Dawn at this email address? And
Yeah, yeah. That's fine. If they want to, yeah, if they want to do an, I guess, a Zoom interview or something they want to do.
yeah, they'd probably do it that way.
Yeah.
Village Portland had run, I gave people a link in an email, but I know emails get buried. At Village Portland had done an article tentatively in September about elections, and then sort of it sounded like they happened when they didn't. So they would need to update what they had published in September.
Yeah, they had a rather long piece and Sabina had a piece of it and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I read that. Okay. Well, if you want to start working from the bottom, But on Wednesday, I'll bring a copy of that outreach list too, so we can kind of, you can work off of that list.
Yeah.
And then we keep each other up to date on what we've accomplished.
Because I think that the ones to, like, let's say Rose, CDC, those should come actually from an official address, like Lentz Neighborhood, Gmail. There's other stuff that we can do just to our networks. Like, let's say I have contacts at Opal and I have contacts at Community Alliance of Tenants and Portland Tenants United. So I could just as myself probably send an email with an attachment of the flyer and say, hey, do you have anybody, who might be interested, 97266 zip code, in running for board, either as transportation for Opal or land use for PT or CAT. And I could do it that way. But for some of the others, I think really it needs to come from, the official Lentz Neighborhood Association Gmail, if insofar as like emails go.
Right, that's fine. If you run into that, just send me an email and ask me to send them one. And
Right.
I'll once we get the password from Topher again. Topher, why don't you do that in chat right now? Put the password in there. Do you remember?
Oh,
Yeah, I do.
If it's
Thomas,
recorded-
go ahead and just reset it again, so I don't screw it up again, and then just let me know. I don't know
Okay,
why.
actually, Topher, actually, can you text it to me?
Yeah, I can text it to you.
Yeah, go ahead, text it to me, please. And yeah, don't put it in the chat for this meeting since it's recorded.
Exactly.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just text it to me, and then we'll take care of the rest of that offline from here.
All right. Okay, we got a plan. We'll see each other at 1 p.m. at the Zoigo House.
Sounds good. See
I
you
will.
Wednesday.
Sounds good.
All right.
Did Jasmine Sprague Anderson reply at all because she was pretty gung ho and running in September and October. Did she
I've
ever
seen
get back to you, Don?
something from Jasmine. I believe she has,
Okay,
but I'll double check and make sure.
yeah, and then I know that Robert Schultz, and then just make sure,
Robert
because-
Schultz, I've been in contact with.
and then just make sure that the people who already submitted, that they know, because I guess we had decided that we're not
Yeah.
accepting email interest, so they have to submit a candidate, a state,
Right.
form rather.
Right.
Because they may not realize that if they already submitted 2 or 3 already.
Yeah, I found yours there. I just thought it was you.
I know, yeah. No, it had Ken's name at the top, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing I'll do in the next few days is take who's ever in there as a stated candidate and make some sort of posting. Here are the candidates so far, right? And all that.
Because a lot of times what happens is if people can't stand a candidate, then what'll happen is you'll get more interest in running, because they may say, well, I guess I'm going to have to run because I can't stand this particular
So
person.
is that an argument to put Gary Mack on the candidate list?
There's a bunch of other people that I would say that people feel about
Oh,
this.
yeah, okay. All right.
No, I've had people tell me that they don't want to go, they don't want to run because they're afraid of certain people. So it's not even, and it's not directed at Gary. I'm not going to say names.
Well, I talked to Char Penny about that because at the LNLA, they almost always have some cops there, right? And so I asked Char, how do you get the cops to show up every time? And she says, well, they got to show up if you invite them. So we're just going to, any physical meeting, we're going to invite the cops to speak, right? So we'll have cops there. That's the kind of the best way, right?
What happens though is we've got a lot of people. It'll be fine at probably at a Zoom meeting because they can always go to the bathroom. But it became an issue a number of years ago because there was one meeting that wound up being very traumatic. The police liaison did not show up when they were supposed to show up, and they happened to show up late and they needed to decompress, and they had just gone to an incident and they clattered in the middle of the meeting, dressed up like the SWAT team with 4 cops, and we all jumped half a foot.
Oh, yeah,
Our
yeah, I
seat.
bet, yeah,
And we
yeah.
had a lot of people of color. We had some houseless people. This was in-person meeting. We had people, teenagers, and it actually negatively impacted some people that they said, I really felt uncomfortable in the middle of this meeting to have basically a SWAT team descend. And it wasn't done on purpose by the cops. Like I said, they were late. They were not, it was like, oh, they're not showing up. That's okay. But they broke into the meeting and it was very unpleasant. So we have to figure out that not everybody in Lentz is white. Not everybody else has had
Well,
positive experience with cops. So yeah, police reports are necessary. It's good to have police liaisons. It's good to call the cops out when they're not doing their job in Lentz. And we know sometimes they don't do their job, and sometimes they do their job too well with certain populations while ignoring others.
yeah.
But we have to be conscious of other people too. Zoom, like I said, you can always go to the bathroom and throw up while they're talking, but or go to do something else. But insofar as an in-person meeting, sometimes there were issues about that, unless there was a really concrete demand from the community, like, hey, we had somebody get murdered in our parking lot at 7-Eleven. We need you to talk to us about that. Or, hey, we had a houseless person killed by a sniper
Yeah.
in a park. We need you to talk about that. But
Well,
otherwise, just having them
That's
come.
both ways. Either you're gonna have security or you're not.
Right.
And, and there's no metal detectors on those doors. So the most dangerous thing for cops is traffic stops and domestic disputes. And a neighborhood association meeting can be a giant domestic dispute, right? So I kind of understand why they don't want to come to the meetings like unarmed or something, right? Or they'll cut the district commander will come, but he'll bring a patrolman along with him who's working, right? Sort of thing, providing security without saying I'm security here, right? Sort of thing.
So again, this kind of sounds to me like an issue for the elected board to address.
Yeah.
For public safety, actually, we had a public safety chairperson last year who did nothing. So yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even know where she was.
I don't think we have enough work to have a bunch of specialists, right? Maybe land use is a specialty, right? I actually maybe put on the training advisory council for the police department too. I applied for that position on that committee recently. I have a friend that's on it, so she asked me if I wanted to do it too. But yeah, I would, if we wind up doing any physical meetings, I would want to do that, just especially the first couple. And then maybe if we drop off, that's fine. I understand the sensitivity there. I've lived in integrated neighborhoods. I know the difference in perspective, right? So
Our family attendants, a shame that we don't really get our city contacts anymore because we probably were invited to it, but our family attended that A Word is Bond, Walk in My Shoes, Black History Month event at Lentz Park, where 2 young Black men who lived in Lentz took us on a tour of Lentz and talked to us about gentrification, police. And it was interesting because the young men too felt our crime is out of control, in Lentz. But they also felt that the cops pick and choose again who they want to support, so they're there when you don't need them. They're there when you don't need them, but when you do need them, they're nowhere to be found.
Sure. I understand that.
But it would be actually, for me, like, let's say, I would recommend that somebody from our public safety chair, and it would be up to them with their committee, actually bring in the 2 young men from Word is Bond who led the tour. Both of them live in Lentz, both of them.
Oh yeah,
tell us what it's.
Yeah, that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Right, because I understand that, but I'm also trying to not get anybody, assaulted in a meeting too. And if people are afraid of that, the cops being there once in a while might be able to help. But you're right, I know that. Before you call the cops, you got to get to the point where you don't care if somebody gets shot, right? That's the idea. And if you do care, don't call the cops, handle it yourself, right? there's appropriate times when you don't care, right? But anyway, we're straying from the subject. We've got that all covered. I know what I'm gonna do. I'll write some content up and forward to you for edits or approvals. And we'll see each other Wednesday at 1 p.m. at the Zalegal House, Zed House.
Sounds good.
Which I think is
When's our next meeting then? When is our next meeting going to be?
we can meet again Monday.
That's Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. Yeah, there is.
I'll go ahead and schedule another Zoom meeting for next week, Monday.
There you go.
Just
Thank
to,
you, Thomas. You're a gentleman, a scholar. Oh, wait, maybe Toker's a gentleman. All right.
Hey.
So if nobody has any objections or any other issues, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Sounds good.
second.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, thanks.